I'm a mean lesbian.
And I'm a scared bisexual.
And this is TikTok Time 2, Bisexual Boogaloo.
Boy, oh boy, what a beautiful day to be attracted to multiple genders.
Did you just say multiple genders?
I knew I shouldn't have said that so loud.
What a freak. Didn't you hear the latest decree from President DeGeneres? You can only like boys or girls, or sometimes the secret third gender of non-binary, but only if you've reached level 10, okay? Well, I'm gonna go watch my state-mandated lesbian porn like a regular person. Bye, freak.
I guess I just wasn't made for this monosexual society. I wish there was some way I could be attracted to boys and girls and non-binaries.
Whoa! Fear not, my child. I have brought you just the thing to ease your sorrow. I bring you a magical thing called bisexuality.
Oh wow, is this a tape full of educational, well-researched content from a certified educator or nonprofit?
Hell no, it's from some person on TikTok.
Oh, well, I guess that's something.
It's only 75 US American dollars. Don't worry, I've already got all your credit card information.
Oh. Thanks, I guess?
Bye, I'm bi, so now what? For all of your bisexual educational needs, now on convenient VHS. Learn all about things like how to be bisexual and how to be bisexual for only the low price of 75 American dollars, plus shipping and handling, wink. Gift options and scholarships now available. If you are a woolly-woo on TikTok, or if the TikTok algorithm thinks that you are a woolly-woo on TikTok, you might have seen some people stitching this video a lot in the past month or so.
Know how scary it is to talk to lesbian women as a bisexual.
I will be linking an article from the Daily Dot in the description below that gives a good overview of the situation, but basically a bisexual TikToker named CAPRI made a video about why they think bisexual women are more likely to date men than women, listing socialization, statistics, and fear as the reasoning.
Also, just to note, Capri's pronouns are they, she, so please use those if you'd like to engage in discussion or share your opinion in the comments. Ruby, that hurts, you're stuck in my pants.
So I think the first 2 points that Capri made in the now deleted TikTok were very accurate. She said that bisexual women, first of all, are socialized, like all women, to center men in their lives through compulsory heterosexuality, which is described by the Equality Archive as, quote, a system of oppression that denies people's sexual self-determination by presenting heterosexuality as the sole model of acceptable sexual and romantic relationship. Capri's second point was that there are simply more straight men in the world than there are gay women, so just statistically it's easier to find a man who's attracted to women than it is to find a woman who's attracted to women, or woman-aligned people. Both of those are solid logical points that I agree with. And then Capri fumbled the ball a little bit. Scary. Lesbians have long been stereotyped as scary, mean, predatory, and ugly, and those stereotypes have barely evolved over the past century or so. Only now it's being toted by young gay women on TikTok, showing their disdain for lesbians, most often of the butch variety.
Dude, femme for femme scares me, bro.
Or even the word lesbian itself.
Just like lesbian. It's like the word moist. It's just like, ugh.
Young gay women are taught from a young age that lesbians are ugly and angry and scary, and in order to separate themselves from those stereotypes, they in turn perpetuate those stereotypes and continue the cycle of hatred.
Unfortunately, we do not have time to cover all the nuances of infighting within the LGBT community.
This video would be longer than a Shane Dawson series and only slightly less depressing.
Basically, just stop being mean to lesbians, my friend lesbians.
Besties, we should not be making fun of each other on TikTok, we should be kissing each other.
What we can do in one video, though, is learn how to be bisexual. in like a woman way, because in no way is any of the following content catered to masculine people, which is why we have a lesbian intro.
Also, the lesbianism is kind of why Capri is relevant. You know, Capri from earlier? Scary. Well, she made an online masterclass about how to be bisexual.
And I'm always looking to engage in community and support other bisexuals. So we spent $75 American on Capri's hour-long course. I'm bi, so now what? Capri says that this course, which debuted in May, took over a year to create, and it promises to help you embrace your bisexuality, learn how to find your queer community, and feel seen and supported.
At the bottom of the product page, she says, by supporting this course, you are supporting me. All the money goes to me, a bisexual, non-binary educator who wants to continue to support and rep our awesome community.
So, like, you gotta respect the grind a little bit.
Absolutely.
Our Patreon link is in the description below if you would like to give money to me, a bisexual, non-binary educator who wants to continue and support and rep our awesome community, and who also recently lost $75.
We will be reviewing aspects of this course and sharing our opinions about it. Legal disclaimer in the description below, and also regular disclaimer that we do not know this person, and probably in real life they're fine. I don't think all of their opinions are the best personally, but for the most part they seem more chronically online than actively malicious, so...
But I do think that if you're charging $75 for a course that you say is definitive, beneficial, educational, and worth that amount of money, you have an amount of responsibility that might not be as inherent to a TikTok account or a free YouTube video.
Especially when every part of this course is available for free from other sources across the internet, and you're specifically targeting LGBT youth.
Lesson 1 of our amazing course.
Capri gives us a quick introduction and overview of the course, which will include topics like coming out and biphobia, as well as a lot of journal prompts.
She goes over internalized versus external biphobia, where it comes from, and how it impacts bisexuals individually.
Most of the video is Capri adding in post ways to feel comfortable and combat internalized biphobia, and then how to create your own definition of bisexuality that is catered to you individually.
One issue I caught here is that this is literally the first step in a WikiHow article called How to Accept Yourself as a Bisexual.
Good job.
Like almost word for word, like every point that Capri makes is in this WikiHow article for free.
I love this 10th grade English essay. So my issues with the biphobia section, aside from that pretty glaring one, is mainly that it dismisses externalized homophobia and blames the bi community for internalized biphobia. Capri references externalized biphobia as being annoying and irritating.
Pretty annoying and really irritating.
But says that the true harm comes from when we internalize beliefs about ourselves. And on a certain level, I understand that, because we are in our own heads every day and it's a lot harder to argue against ourselves, but the responsibility! This section also doesn't really get into things that are biphobic, aside from a couple of stock phrases, and doesn't get into systemic oppression or the history of biphobia and how we got here. The bit that's added in post is not well integrated, one might say.
While editing, I realized that I told you to be confident and then did not give you tools on how to be confident. Great course! I know I nailed it.
And this entire section would have benefited from being rewritten to be a little more clear.
You would think that after a year of working on it, all the kinks would have been worked out.
Yeah, it's...
And when you're paying $75 for it.
Yeah, confronting biphobia or processing our own biphobia really rests on having a support group that you're out to and that isn't biphobic. The exercises for unlearning your internalized things might be helpful, but they're not reframing exercises the way that Capri claims they are. You know the idea, the media trope, the Glee thing, that people are homophobic because they're struggling to come to terms with their own homosexuality and are taking it out on others. It makes sense in some cases, maybe, but it removes all the responsibility from straight people to examine their views and behaviors. Intercommunity issues are often brought up not just in discussions about sexuality, but gender, race, disability status, not as a genuine examination of the harm we can do to each other, but as a way of shifting the blame away from those who are actually causing harm. The real problem, this mindset says, is that bisexual people enable biphobia, that people of color enable racism, that trans people enable transphobia because of disagreements within the community and not because of the systemic oppression by powerful majority groups. There is something to be said for biphobia coming from within the gay community, dismissal of bisexuality as a halfway point or a way to avoid fully coming out, or as less legitimate because of the ability to be in a straight passing relationship. But we can also see a lot of frankly terrible opinions coming from within the bi community, mostly directed at lesbians. And when we're presented with this as our examination of bisexuality and biphobia, I don't think we're nearly as well equipped to deal with it as Capri wants to make us.
Another issue is that a lot of the things they talk about throughout the course are kind of more related to just general homophobia, but they treat them as if they're specific to bisexuals. And I feel like it could have been more effective if they'd focused more on uniquely bi issues, or if they had acknowledged that general homophobia affects bisexuals as well.
There are a few limited examples of biphobic statements that they give, such as the one they really like to use is, "I'm not bi enough." Apparently, every single one of us has said that.
And the one that almost every bisexual has said in their entire life, which is, "I'm not bi enough."
Then we get into a whole section about the importance of questioning things, which had a few nice sentiments but doesn't ever go deep enough to feel worth the time we spend on it.
They mention questioning what we want out of relationships and how compulsory heterosexuality can kind of deter you from questioning the things that you want.
This would have been a great place to explore the ways that sexuality can impact your gender, but Capri just sort of mentions that in passing.
What if this impacts my gender? What if the feelings about my gender change?
At no point in this section did I ever really have an answer from them on why this is important or what they even really mean by questioning.
They also at one point said that the questions of what's your favorite animal and what does being bisexual mean for all the relationships in your life should give you the same feeling inside, and like, no?
What's your favorite animal and why do you love it? How is your bisexuality going to impact your relationships with people? How come this one feels so much heavier? Like, what is that difference? I think possibly it's because we put so much weight on that versus what's your favorite animal?
These are two very different questions, Capri. There's a reason they give us different feelings. If you're trying to present this course as one with a lot of soul-searching and emotional depth, this doesn't feel like it has enough social and contextual awareness for you to be the one guiding us through this. And, as Capri does not expand on, in a lot of cases, your sexuality is interwoven into many parts of your life in ways beyond just who you're attracted to. And I can't really say the same for how much I love animals with scales. I mean, a little bit, but...
Then we get the section on coming out, and I think most of the information given here is fine, but again, it doesn't feel more in-depth than anything I'd find from a quick Google search. Speaking of that, I did a quick Google search, and I'm almost positive that every piece of advice in this section was also listed in the WikiHow article titled, "How to Come Out." $75. $75 well spent.
Again, she doesn't really go in depth enough to be helpful. They talk about only coming out if you feel safe to do so, but don't offer any advice to people who are in that unsafe situation. They also don't really go into what happens after you come out and how that will affect your life.
There is one very funny piece of advice, which is to make up a gay friend and tell someone about
a bi friend.
Make up a bisexual friend to tell somebody about, so you can test the waters and find out if they're homophobic or biphobic or not. And we did enjoy that concept very much.
So I call this the fake friend technique or the fake person technique.
They described 2 different ways of coming out, which were casual coming out and sit-down coming out.
First category is the casual coming out, right? So the other side of the casual coming out is the sit down, more serious coming out.
The casual one was just like peppering in the fact that you are bi into casual conversations. And is it mean if I say that all the examples they gave were kind of cringy?
No, I hated that part a little bit. They all just felt like really forced.
Yeah.
Do you know any other bisexual people? Because I'm really trying to expand like my bi community. Do you know any bi people? Me patting myself, that was great. I love Miley Cyrus so much. I think she's amazing. And no, it's not just because we both like women.
I don't think that casual coming out needs to be something that you have scripted and are just ready to pop into a gap in conversation.
I think casual coming out is something that just happens all the time because you're just living your life as your sexuality, and basically just not holding back things that you would have held back when you were closeted.
Yeah.
And like, that's just kind of gonna naturally happen in conversations. It's gonna be more natural and more casual than if we are talking and there's a lull in the conversation and I say, hey, did you hear that new Hayley Kiyoko song? I am sexually attracted to her. And also men.
There's like a huge difference between me telling a story about an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend and while we're having a play date, just like,
while we're having tummy time.
Yeah, while we're having tummy time, just going, do you know any gay bars? Because I would like to meet some bisexual people because I am bisexual.
I did not know this information. Thank you for sharing it with me. I'm very biphobic though. Please get out.
You should have tested the waters, my big friend.
Yeah, you didn't test the waters first, that's on you.
As a side note, Capri mentions that they don't know if they made up the strategy of testing the waters. They really don't know if they invented it. But a thing you can do is send someone an article, like, Tessa Thompson is bisexual in this movie. And then you go, how do you feel about that? And it's like, bestie, I think we all thought of that on our own. I think that is exactly how we all were when we were like 12. And we were like, so, gay marriage. How about that?
Any thoughts?
Any thoughts on that one?
So this is a technique. I don't know if I created it. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I made it up.
So I watched Glee last night.
There's some crazy stuff in there. So I've been listening to a lot of Katie Lang lately.
I have this friend who told me that they're bi. We were both very confused on why they called the second method the sit-down method, because it did not involve any sitting. I've had serious sit-down coming outs, and this wasn't it. This wasn't it, fam. This one has specific steps, though, like evaluating if you want to come out, if it'll be safe, why you want to, etc.
So I like to say there are 7 steps in the sit-down method. Safety is the feeling. Why do you want to come out to this person? The identifying step. Choose a definition. Moving forward. Aftercare.
And then it amounted to coming out over text, just with a couple more words. And that definitely feels more casual.
That is how I came out to my mom, so like, it's a good method, but it was very casual. I literally just texted, hey, I'm gonna use your shower real quick. Also, I'm a lesbian BTW.
The next section is about finding your bisexual community, and this was maybe the one we had the most issues with.
In this lesson, lucky for you, we're going to figure out how you can find those people and where you can find them to connect with them.
The methods of finding community that Capri suggests include go online and find creators, use hashtags, join a Discord or Facebook page, using meetup.com, a website which they admitted to have never used and said they don't really know that much about.
Also like places like meetup.com. I haven't been able to actually get on one on meetup.com, so highly recommend that. Again, this isn't a tool that I'm well versed with, but it's a tool that I know that exists. So could be great, could be trash.
Highly recommend that.
Dating apps and putting bi-color hearts in your description. Use fake names and fake profiles and make a Finsta to be bisexual on.
We call them Finsta, like fake Instagrams.
Find a bisexual resource center in your area and go to gay nights at bars and other places.
My issues with these methods are as follows. They are super focused on building casual online interactions, which are great, but not the only thing. I don't think you can build the community that you're looking for exclusively in the Twitter replies to celebrities and TikTok comments. Those are fun places to be, but some of these methods come off as really disingenuous, as Capri warns us that she hasn't tried all of these things, and some of them are dangerous or ineffective, and they really have no idea if these work or not.
Highly, highly recommend that.
It misrepresents the idea of community centers and community. We have no references to our history, to activists, to anything that ties us together aside from online content. And it also probably should mention that an important part of making friends is finding people that you like and have more things in common with. Maybe you make a friend who likes movies and is bisexual, or likes the same sport you do and is also bisexual. Because I've met some bi people and are... Also, at the time of filming, there are only 11 bisexual resource centers in the United States, so that doesn't feel like a very actionable bit of advice, and Capri doesn't mention general things at LGBT centers. They have bisexual meetup nights. They have ways that you can meet people with your specific identity. But because this is only about being bi, but it's really not, we don't get that.
I know that I'm a mean lesbian, and I'm very scary.
Scary?
Scary. So you probably don't want my little under-the-bridge troll monster opinion. But if I was suggesting ways to meet gay and trans people, I would say find some queer-owned local businesses in your area and go hang out there and support them, and maybe they'll have flyers for local events, or they'll, at the very least, probably be frequented by other gay people. If you're in school still, you could join a GSA, or take an art class, or join the theater department, or softball team or something, if that's more your speed. Learn to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Go to the Ren Fair.
Look for people with kitchen scissor haircuts and homemade pride merch, and go say hi and compliment them. Go hang out at a farmer's market. Start a niche YouTube channel for gay geniuses.
Go to concerts. I'm shocked that wasn't one of them.
Yeah, go to concerts. Go to a Girl in Red concert.
Go to your local community college music night. Go to open mic night.
Yeah.
Everyone's reading gay poetry.
Yeah, also, if you can find local musicians who are bi or LGBT, go to their shows. Support them. Meet other people. You'll probably hear about, like, more shows coming up and stuff.
Yeah.
Go to, like, some house shows and things. Like, you can probably find places that are putting on, like, house shows or, like, indie shows and things that are specifically targeted to LGBT people coming together, hanging out, listening to fun gay music together.
And if you're in a position to, you can start a club or organization. Before COVID, I was trying to get a knitting club started, and that was not so that I could knit with straight people, let me tell you that.
There are many ways to make friends in real life, and, like, I understand that for a lot of people, they're in a situation where the only way that they can find a community like that is online, and I am fully supportive of that. Go do that. I've found lots of friends and community online and stuff, but, like, I feel like Capri was focusing almost only on online interactions.
Yeah, and the real world interactions that they gave, being things like go to a gay bar and stuff like that, does imply that you're in a phase of your life where you can make these decisions and go wherever you want. It feels like Capri just did not really think about what audience this course would be geared towards. Because I would imagine that most people who would benefit from a course like this would be younger people, but teens in that position aren't likely to have a spare $75 US to spend on this. And most of them wouldn't be old enough to use dating apps safely or to go out to bars, so I don't really know who this is for. At certain points, it seems like this would be a really good course, or a course like this, if you aimed it at parents who want to help their recently out teen, but so much of the information is about coming out that also doesn't seem to be the primary audience for that.
Yeah. And that's not to say that people can't discover their sexuality later in life, but I don't think many people older than like me would want to pay a 22-year-old TikToker to tell them to go to a gay bar. I don't want to have paid a 22-year-old TikToker to tell me to go to a gay bar.
You could have paid me, 22-year-old not TikToker, to say that. I know that I am not the person who someone much older than me should go to for that kind of advice, because I'm in a different place in my life. I have different things that I do, different things that I think about, different things that are important to me.
I feel like we're fine criticizing them a little because their whole online presence is very much as this like LGBT elder almost, and like this kind of like older sibling figure of like, oh, let me teach you how to do all this, like, let me share my experience. And they're younger than me.
Yeah.
And I would not feel comfortable posting like that online.
No. The course is registered under the name Fairy by Mother, which Capri openly says that they are.
And I'm going to be your fairy by mother, your fairy by guide, helping you through this entire process.
A few years ago, I found out they were listed as one of the top influential internet teens.
Huh.
30 under 30, Capri last name. And I don't feel bad assuming the audience that they're going for. It seems pretty obvious. It also feels really limiting and isolating if they're talking to teens. It took me about 30 seconds to find a bunch of safe, vetted groups for queer youth to meet up, including ones that are specifically made for autistic youth, ones that are art classes, some that are movie clubs, a lot that are Dungeons and Dragons. There's a world out there. And there are even more of those for adults if you just know how to look for them. Like, have you ever been to game night at the comic book store?
Again, all of this just feels very much like it's coming from somebody who is chronically online. And like, I'm not saying that we're not a little chronically online, but like,
I've been to gay events.
We know gay people in real life.
Which is a privilege that not everyone is going to have.
Yeah.
But
it's a privilege that I would encourage people to take advantage of if it's a possibility for them at this moment in time.
And if the only communities you can find are online, maybe stay safe and be selective about how and who you interact with. Okay, we have one last section before the special bonus course, which is Bisexual Self-Care.
I definitely agree with a lot of parts of this, like focusing your self-care on your own mental health and self-acceptance. I think that's a nice sentiment.
Capri mentions specifically that there's this current modern idea of self-care as pampering and taking a break, when that is not what benefits us most sometimes. Self-care is brushing my teeth. They also list
going to therapy.
Yeah. Well,
we're working on it.
We're working on it, besties. They do list some uncited statistics about bisexual mental health, which are correct, but baby girl gender neutral. You did not cite your sources.
Bisexuals have the highest rate of mental illness amongst all of the LGBTQ community.
They also don't go into why these stats are so high. It's a pretty cyclical argument that says bisexual people have worse mental health because they are bisexual, so they have worse mental health.
Instead of looking at maybe some historical or societal reasons that would be true. Suggest curating your social media to follow a lot of other bisexuals and bi positivity accounts. And I do think that's a really nice suggestion, because I'm always a big advocate for curating your social media experience. And I think following a lot of lesbian accounts was really helpful for me when I was discovering my sexuality and kind of embracing it and everything. So like, yeah, I have no faults there on that concept.
You should subscribe to our channel.
Subscribe to our channel, besties.
Besties. Capri gives us a helpful list of bisexuals to follow, but My issue is that just following the people they recommend and other people like that doesn't really expand your scope very much. You're still experiencing a very insular community of TikTok 20-somethings that doesn't really reflect the diversity of experiences or the community. I'm also not entirely comfortable advocating the use of social media as a self-care tool in a lot of circumstances. This section also doesn't talk about intersectional issues or other difficulties we might face in maintaining mental health. They talk about options that aren't available to everyone, and they don't really mention problems besides feeling isolated. Bisexual people with unrelated mental and physical health issues have it a lot harder when trying to access legitimate medical and psychological health care, or with finding support in religious communities. CAPRI mentions the high rate of dangerous and self-harming behaviors that bi, and a lot of queer, people might engage in as a result of, the world being awful. But even though they say these self-care tips aren't the white people ones.
And I think that's because the term has been adopted in the past couple of years by a specific group of people that are like really white.
That was really funny when they said that. Of take a bubble bath and do your nails. Self-care can look like a lot of different things, and important things, that just aren't mentioned here. One of the methods of self-care that they recommend is finding and consuming bisexual content, which, hell yeah, I love representation. My issue with this is that it also feels very insular and like it's not going to expand your views very much, not your scope. It also makes it kind of confusing about who this course is aimed at, because most of the recommended people are TikTokers or Instagram people in their 20s. Most of the books are young adult fantasy. Most of the shows are cartoons that were made, if not solely consumed by young people. I've watched a lot of them. They're good, but I do understand they were not made with all of the nuances that a show made for me might have. I will be providing a list of good bisexual content. It just might take a while to make because there's a lot of it. This section doesn't include any celebrities or activists. It doesn't include any podcasts or really adult novels or comics or even musicians, really. Yeah. It seems like there are so many places to see people like you that they're just not taking advantage of. They say that they dug so deep they struck bisexual gold with this. Which made me kind of excited to read the PDF. I love lists. I love curating lists.
I dug so deep that I hit a gold mine.
This didn't do it for me.
And finally, last but not least,
maybe least,
is the last but maybe least, is the bonus section, Bisexual Dating 101. Their advice for this is 1. Establish your intention in a gay way and not a gal pal way. Because it is towards a girl. 2, use dating apps. 3, casually come out to people and see if they are also into women. 4, don't get upset if they don't like you back. That's it.
Safe dating, have fun, be safe. Bye!
Bestie, that's just woo-woo dating, and also that's just dating.
Yet no part of this was specific to bisexuals, bestie.
It doesn't even feel like 101. It feels like when you have to take a remedial 010 class.
It feels like the course description for a class.
People get PhDs in this. Capri, you didn't want to maybe mention at all how bisexuality might affect your relationships with men. And I say men because this lesson and course in general assumes you're a woman or a woman-aligned person. Or literally anything about even the possibility of dating another non-binary person? No? We're just gonna talk about securing that first date and then you're on your own. Okay, end of course.
Bye!
The video is 3 minutes long and referred to as the long-form content CAPRI has been working on in response to the many questions they get on this topic.
Bestie, TikTok lets you do 3-minute videos now. Well, I'm so glad that we know everything about how to be bisexual now. I'm still a lesbian, but congratulations, bisexuals!
Here's my list of things that are wrong with the class in general. All of this information is publicly available for free, usually better phrased with citations and more carefully written and presented by people who know more about what they're talking about.
And we will be linking those sources below.
Notice that when they start giving information off of bi.org and other organizations, it gets a lot clearer, more concise, and helpful.
And it's because all of this came from bi.org and also WikiHow articles.
People who know that they're bi and are wondering how to live their lives in a way that celebrates and embraces that probably aren't going to get a ton out of this course, since these are all very 101 or remedial lessons. And frankly, I'm not comfortable with someone charging $75 for exercises that they straight up say are from their therapist, aren't universal, and might not work. The journaling prompts are so open-ended that it doesn't feel like they're providing you with anything, while saying, this is a great tool for mental health. My therapist said. Did your therapist tell you to charge $75 for?
Also, they suggest using BetterHelp, the online therapy thing.
And a lot of other online options.
They sell your information to a third party. Side note, I tried Pride counseling, which I did not know is a subset of BetterHelp or whatever. And it makes sense because I tried a couple therapists on there and none of them were helpful.
Yeah, I've done therapy through school. I've done therapy through a lot of different things, but I've done therapy through school. That's a pretty good way to access it, provided that your school offers it for free or a sliding scale, and which a lot of them do, and then you can get off the wait list. Those LGBT centers we mentioned typically have assistance programs, whether that's with getting you money for it or helping you line up an appointment with a doctor that specializes in it. Sometimes they have therapists. You can ask your gay friends who they see. You can look up like breathing exercises.
Also, if you go onto like Psychiatrist Today or something website, you can put in what you're looking for, what your budget is, what your insurance is, all that, and like if you want specifically like bisexual, LGBT friendly therapists and stuff. Yeah, there are a lot of options.
There are also websites that help you narrow it down even more, so just specifically looking for therapists of color or people who are disabled. This is a personal note, but I feel like the text transitions in the video are bad to look at and are poorly formatted, and they gave me a headache. On a more important note, there's no discussion of intersectional identities. This course isn't necessarily going to be as beneficial for bisexual people of color, disabled bisexual people. Like, what about gender? What about being trans? What about classism and religion and all of those other factors that are going to impact the biphobia that you face in the world you experience? Like, my bisexual experience is influenced by all of those things, and other people have their own relationships with all of those things. I didn't get a lot out of this course for many reasons, but most of the things that I would say I have struggles with weren't even addressed. This is particularly weird because CAPRI is a non-binary person of color and is using both of those as buzzwords to sell this course. This is like if we tried to sell an autism guide to YouTube and the only thing we taught you was how to edit a thumbnail and we charged you $75.
75 American dollars. Yeah, it was not relevant at all.
Which doesn't mean that's not information that you can share. It's important information. It's a deceptive selling point. There are also genuinely zero mentions of general homophobia, and the fact that being bi includes that same cool gender attraction, something that we do have in common with gay people. It's not necessarily always a separate thing. There are similarities and differences in these experiences, but like most people's reaction to this image doesn't really change if I tell you that these people are bi and not gay. Like, we gotta band together, man. We're all experiencing things. There are some things we thought were good about the course. This is a much shorter list. The background was clean, and most of their shirts were good. The audio quality was clear. I liked the affirmation where you say something you like about yourself and add, "and I'm bisexual" to the end of it. I feel like that's a really good way to like trick your brain into associating with good things. You go,
Yeah.
My hair looks really cute today, and I'm bi.
Yeah, I think that was cute.
Yeah. I'm really good at art, and I'm bi. This is one of the good things about me, and part of the good things that I'm proud of. I think that's really nice. And for the most part, it is not incorrect or inaccurate information that is actively harmful. It's just wildly unoriginal and unhelpful.
Yeah, for the most part, the videos themselves and the information is just inoffensive stuff that's fine. Why was it 75 American dollars? Also, there's no way they spent a year on it. Absolutely no way it took a year to make that.
We gathered the information for this video in, I would say, a cumulative 5 hours over the course of 2 days. And I feel like it's pretty good quality. I feel like if we made a course, we'd spend some time on it.
If we were charging you $75 to watch this video, we would have spent a little longer on it.
Like, even this is a step above. Our Patreon is below.
As is a link to my TikTok, which I post on, and Noah's TikTok, which they don't post on.
I commissioned a video for it, though.
Ooh. Also, our Hedgefrog Tumblr, and
our very neglected Twitter, and our email. I've got that all in a link tree now. I got very professional with it.
Yeah.
If we're forming bisexual communities in the comments, have at it, my guys. Talk about your favorite media. Talk about your favorite TikTokers and influencers and activists and celebrities. Tell your stories.
Yeah.
Join our Patreon so you can join our group chat.
We've been a little bit absent because Noah was homeless for a little bit.
Like 3 days.
Currently living on my couch. And I was getting a nursing degree so that I could diagnose Noah's medical problems.
I have a new fun disability.
Yeah.
Join our Patreon. You can see me getting evaluated for it. That's not true. That's not true, besties.
And also, I have been remodeling and decorating my new room.
Yeah, you might notice that our set's a bit different.
Yeah. So hopefully, it's almost finished, almost ready. So hopefully soon we can do a fun little room tour, because I really, really, really love my room and it's really pretty. And I would love to share that with y'all.
Bedtime.
Bedtime, baby!
Okay, so guys, I hope you enjoyed my participation in this. I am Grandma Julie. Be seeing you again soon.
I tricked you.
Scary.